Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League Season 3, race number 2. We are on the Beach Island Loop. It's going to be myself, Nathan Garrett, and Anna Russell. I'm sitting in for Kate Bates as she is out on vacation this week. But Anna, super exciting racing, and I'm excited to be sat next to you and have a lot of fun geeking out about Zwift racing.
I know we've kind of got the two excited bunnies from Zwift commentating together, so things might get a little bit crazy. But yeah, this one's going to be fun because, well, I'm super excited about the steamroller. I love it when WTRL chucks in a new power up, and there's two really key places to put it in this race, and all about the strategies. I don't know how we'll see it play out, but it's going to lead to some fireworks for sure.
Yeah, the ladies just jumped out on course. Let's take a really quick look here at the course that they are going to be taking on. This is coming at us thanks to Zwift Insider and Zwift Hacks. Thanks a lot for putting this together. Very simple course, actually, when it comes to the look of it. But there are some sections to really get away. I actually raced the parts of this course actually over the weekend in the KISS 100. And it's interesting the way that the cobbles play, as well as some of the beach sections that they do head through. It does tend to make things a little bit difficult on the legs through some of those sections. So we'll see how this ends up playing out here. But there is some points up for grabs, though, aren't there, Anna?
Yeah, so you've got the first across line points on each lap. So it's a 3 lap course. So that's the person who crosses that sprint banner first. But the important ones, I think, are the fastest time segments. So that's overall in the race on that sprint banner. And you've got 20 points all up for if you win that fastest time segment. So that's going to be good to see who gets that because that would be a total game changer.
Yeah, and there's also the reality of heading on over toward the volcano and then down through that climb back over to the sprint. You know, what's interesting to me is that there is a little riser right before that green section there, Anna. You have that climb through some sandy sections right into some cobbles. Those are the sections where it's actually harder to draft. So I have a feeling this is going to be very challenging to go after those points. It's not going to be a sprinter's delight necessarily every time they hit that up.
No, I think first lap sprinter's delight, that'll create a break. And then if you've got teammates, I've heard team managers say they're going to hoard those steamrollers and then just play them all at one time, get out, and then they'll have people first across line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that laps 2 and 3. But lap 1, I think that's when it's going to come down to the sprinters, and that's when those fastest time segments will probably happen.
Great point actually about the steamroller. I didn't think about that until we you just mentioned it. That the steamroller, this is the perfect course for it. I mean, really, because of the beach and because of heading through that sand, heading through the cobbles, going into that speed up section. I mean, it's gonna flatten out the pavement. Anybody who has that power up through those sections, I attack through those sections specifically because you get such a big boost from those high watts per kilograms. You can separate real easily. This is going to only triple or double or triple that effect. I mean, don't quote me on exact numbers there, but it's really going to take that effect to the next level. I think we're going to see some splits happening pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first race I've seen a steamroller, so I think it's going to be new for everyone. How they're going to use it? Will they use it as a team? Will they try and have a breakaway? But for sure, laps 2 and 3, I think it's going to play a key role. Lap 1, I think we're still going to see the drafting power up and the aero power up to get those fastest time segments, though.
Yeah, right on. Let's go ahead and take a quick look how the things are standing here for the women's and men's current standing situation. It is going to be at the top right now in the WT. Oh, this looks like we're looking at results too for the championship. Actually, sorry about that, everybody. For the standings currently, actually, AHDRL Caffeines are at the top with 157 points. TBR Smile On in the B category. We also do have some C riders out on course. Anna.
Yeah, Sea Riders, big field here. AHDRL, We Race for Cake, leading the Spin Mafia ahead of the Comets and the Cruzettes. So domination by AHDRL. Rave Seoz in fifth, Herd of Bilbies in sixth. The CMAs are both in seventh and eighth. And then you've got Cryogen Belfi rounding out in ninth.
And then in the D category, HDR Degenerates are leading things out at 160 points. And then it is going to be HDR Diamonds are 132. CMA Philo Girls at 73. And then 36 points for the CMA Girl Power. And then in the men's category, we are going to be covering today now for everybody's information, just as a heads up across the categories, we will be covering different categories for those who have enough categories or enough divisions across each one of the leagues. So Division 2A is what we're covering today, and it is Team ZWC Allies, followed up by Pita Z Vividores, HDR Alpha Cake. Excuse me there. I put it all together for me, trying to trick me there. They're tied up for second right now. Oh, 7 there in fourth place, followed up by Next Up. I wonder if that has something to do with Next Level. Interesting. Because it is spelled exactly the same. So maybe a little bit of a spin off there
Must be.
for that team.
And the Bs there, we've got the WMZ Bs in first, TBR 52th in second, TZP Beta in third, Evo Mad Max 2021 in fourth, close behind TT1 Bruisers, then the Dirty Sprockets Trois, AHDR Ballers, Wang Farang CC, AAVF in ninth, and AHDR Beers in 10th.
And then in the C category for the men, it doesn't look like we've got anything going on there across this division. So that is going to be what we'll be looking at, is going to be the A's out there today, is going to be the focus to be on the watch out for this battle between Peter Z, HDR, All for the Cake, and Team ZWC. Down in with the ladies as they have gotten out on course, it does look like they are heading on over toward the section of course that we were just talking about here. It is going to be the Beach Island loop here, as we were saying just a moment ago. We raced the cake here with Maza is who we are jumping in with, and it looks like Team Fearless. Lots of AHDR here in this B category, as you can see.
Oh, and this is Team Fearless is actually, now that I'm pregnant, the team I'm racing for. I got into their B squad for tomorrow, and great team. I see Amy Levang off the back. She's a huge manager and organizer from Team Fearless. I think one of the original founders, mum of 4. So amazing to see her. I don't know, we've messaged a few times about how hard it is to get the kilometers in training when you've got a few kids running around, but good to see her out racing, and looks like in that front group as well. Good job.
Amy Levang, US of A here. Interesting to see. It's 4:23 a.m. Right now where I am at, right out of the USA. So that's going to be a late night, early morning, one of the two. Unless she's over in Hawaii. I'm not positive.
She's not in Hawaii.
So,
definitely not. I'm going to go with mid-US somewhere. But they've got a lot of Fearless. They're all on those aqua bikes with that kind of green kit. But there are a few TBR who are in a very similar kit. Fearless has got just the sort of yellow sleeves on. But it looks like we do have the AHDRL teams taking a big lead here with that Yellowtron on the front. The Bam Babes or the Bombshells leading right out. And I haven't seen any power-ups drop yet, so I'm not sure if they're going to hold them till it hits a little bit closer to the sprint. But let's see how this plays out.
yeah, interesting. I mean, are they holding off? Did they get rewarded a power-up going through the first little banner? And there it is. There's the first steamroller coming right on through. Heading on over towards Sky the Squirrel. And at the front, it is AHDR on the attack. Let's see if we can jump in with the leaders here. This is going to be the damage that we're seeing at the back of the pack right now, but absolutely smashing
massive.
it right now. Huge gap opening up, it looks like. AHDR on the attack, and we're trying to get to the front of the pack here. It does look like there's Corinne here from the Bombshells, actually, is the one that's gotten the 2-second gap. Lam Kong Bam Babes trying to come across, it looks like here, Anna.
Oh, and Kong, she has got a sprint. And these guys are a B category, remember. They're around that 6 watts a kg number. I mean, these guys are absolutely drilling it. Those heart rates up in the top 180s. I mean, this isn't going easy. These guys are all in. We see an awesome power-up drop there from Kong with the Aero. She's going for that fastest time segment. Look at those numbers. Will she get past at the end? I can see some orange numbers coming here from M from France, who actually might get her, didn't quite get her over the line. So that was amazing from Kong. She's done it in Season 2, and she's obviously bringing that form into Season 3.
Yeah, a huge result there coming in for the first sprint points from Lam Kong for the Bam Babes. It's going to be Leanna for there from Z-Sun coming out of South Africa looking to shut that down. Already we have gaps starting to form. We'll see if we can get a camera view here to try and see how it's playing out. There is a group forming behind at this point. I think it's going to come back together here in just a moment. Bombshells maybe going to try and put a lot of riders toward the front of this race at this point. We raced for Cake also with Carrie there sitting on third wheels. So Bombshells with the HDR as well as We Raced the Cake very well positioned at this point. They were there coming out of Switzerland. It looks like for Z-Sun on the front. I think Z-Sun, they know who they're racing against. And I have a feeling tonight, Anna, that they are trying to put HDR on a back foot a little bit with this counter attack, as we saw Lam Kong take the first one down.
Exactly. This is a tricky part of the course because you come through the sprint, you got tired legs, but they're going to hit sort of a little climb there just as they went through that sprint. And so that's going to separate those who just couldn't really catch on. And you're seeing sort of bigger gaps out the back now. And this is danger time. You know, you're looking at a lot of AHDR, a lot of Z-Sun, a couple of TBR, but there's a gap there heading back into those riders behind. If they don't catch on, I actually don't think they will because they're on a downhill segment here. They're going to pick up momentum, and that's kind of been a decisive move. That sort of 1-2 we saw from Z-Sun. I mean, they've come to party, and they're racing extremely well as a team.
Yeah, looking through, it is 2 seconds off the back at this point from Mandy. Really suffering. 158 beats per minute. Looks like she's going to back off a little bit, see if the group behind can work with her. Lam Calm sitting in after a big sprint. Look at the afro puff and the glasses coming through. Absolutely loving this look here from Lam Kong. Absolutely great. Okay, come on, style points. You're the expert here. I mean, this has got to be a 9.5. Look at this. I mean, and it's the Tron with that fluorescent, light blue coming through. I mean, I feel like, I don't know, a little bit of Travolta coming through on my side over here. I feel like I'm stepping into the 70s a little bit. Early
awesome.
80s, late 70s.
Late 70s. Okay. I don't know how much older you are than me, Nathan. I don't know. I can't remember the 70s, but
I wasn't even born yet.
There's star points definitely deducted for the mismatching gloves and socks. We all know visor, mismatching gloves and socks, huge deduction of points there. So, I mean, lucky she got what I think would be the fastest time segment on that first lap because, can't give a 9 out of 10 that you wanted there, Nathan. I'm going to go for more of a 6.
Oh, big shot across the bow there because of the mismatch on the socks and the gloves. You know, really it is all about the accessories, isn't it, when it comes down to it? So I think that's a pretty good call. But I'm gonna have to go just because it stands out amongst the crowd. I'm gonna go ahead with an 8.5 on the day. So
okay.
Looking back a little bit here, though, Millen now, Booth, it looks like, on the chase. This is the next section. If somebody wants to go across, anybody watching the broadcast to try and get an idea of how to play this later on in the day at EMEA, America's East, America's West, these sections, they really matter with the steamroller right here. This is where I'd be setting up third, fourth wheel, rolling through with some speed, and maybe trying to jump across right now with a big kick, big turn of speed, because you can really shut things down at these sections.
Yeah, this is a really long section of dirt. You go over this bridge, so that wouldn't have been the best time you saw there for them to drop those steamrollers. It will be just after the bridge. This section is about 800 meters long. It's a really long time to have dirt and those are slats on the bridge. So good kind of timing here, maybe a touch too early, but I mean, they've got to catch that group in front. They've already pulled in 2 seconds. They were 6 ahead right before that bridge. Now 4, getting down to about 3. So I believe this catch will be made. They are very, very motivated here watching Van Dyke. High heart rate, but not out of control. So she's keeping it well in the mix, not burning too many matches. But that actually, the time is pulling out a little. So I think that group in front is highly motivated to stay away. And they're going to hit into that underwater tunnel, go down a big downhill. And again, that momentum might just push them up. I think if they get 5 seconds, this 2-woman breakaway just may not make the catch, which is a bit disappointing for them.
Yeah, I mean, 4 seconds at this point, going to be a tough one. Now, there is a little bit of, what do we call maybe almost a conga line starting to go backwards at this point. I mean, that is going to give an advantage to the chasers if they can just grab on here. It's not exactly what the Bam Babes are going to be wanting to see here with C now falling off just a little bit. It's going to be Carrie there actually from We Race the Cake. I wonder if she's trying to give a wheel because I don't think she's in too much pressure at this point. Van Dyke, though, 2.7 watts per kilogram, doesn't look like it's going to happen. You were right. If you weren't on board at this point, the group up ahead, just too strong. This is going to be your top 20 off the front now, as those chasers not going to see this group again, as it's going to be nothing but attacks back and forth, especially having a couple of teams represented with Z-Sun, as well as the BRT team. I'm seeing, I believe this is going to be the Big Ring as well with TBR and Smile On in here. So lots and lots of teams represented. They're not going to want to wait up for anybody to make a catch. Fearless with only one rider involved here at this point. Interesting enough to see. BRT, AHDR, TBR, all in here with Z-Sun. That's going to be the battle in this women's B race out here for APAC today.
Yeah, for sure. And we're getting a few questions coming in through socials, and I'm surprised as well not to see more disc wheels. I would definitely been going the Specialized Venge S-Works with that zip disc, but I'm seeing mostly Trons. I don't know if that's a sort of a level thing or people have consciously gone with that. There's two riders near the front with discs, but I'm surprised not more. What would you be going with on this course, Nathan?
On this one, I would most definitely be on the 858 Supers with a Shiv, just being the fastest flat bike. I don't really think with the kind of speeds that we'd be holding, I'm not sure it's going to be too much of a difference, with any kind of the climbing sections. The burst of speed, holding the speed, I really think the Shiv is where it's at. Excuse me, is that what I'm not the Shiv? The Shiv's the TT
No, the
bike.
Shiv's
No, the
the
Venge, excuse me.
triathlon
Yeah,
bike.
yeah, the triathlon bike. Excuse me, the Venge. The Venge. Always get those two mixed up for some reason. I'm not sure. There's some sort of mental block, like latched on to the Shiv for some reason to call the Venge the Shiv all the time. But anyways, I'd be on this setup that I'm seeing BRT on right here in the main with that primal right there. 858 Venge colored wheels. That's where it's at in my opinion. Most expensive, one of the most expensive setups you could possibly get. That's for sure. But I think that's really where it's at when it comes to these flatter courses like this.
Yeah, for sure. I've been riding so much of the Tour of Watopia to get those XP points to get to level 43 so I can get that super fly looking disc wheel. And I am still not there for the tomorrow's race. So it's very gutting for me to see those colourful wheels out. I just end up feeling so envious. But yeah, you're right. I think as well on this course, because we've got that steamroller power up, if you're on that really slippery bike, the disc wheel, the Venge, then if you've got a steamroller, who cares about the dirt? You're still going to be going really, really fast as if it's tarmac. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, definitely
that's
the bike
a
of
really
choice.
Good point about that. Yeah, I think that on the reality of the steamroller changing things up so much, and I think it's going to be such a big changing point for the race. I have a feeling that whether or not you do have that steamroller and whether how you use it correctly, bike is going to matter for those little bits here and there, a little bit of reserve. Really, when I think about bike choice, I mainly think about how fast it can get away from the pack and hold the power, hold the speed, as well as like how well I can rest in and amongst the pack. Besides that, really it is going to be down to that steamroller and using it well. Good tactics as well is going to be a big one out here today. A lot of times, people think that these courses, the flatter courses, that these little bumps in there aren't very tactical. It's just a flat roll around. Actually, if the racers make the race, though, in my opinion, these ones are way more tactical and have a lot better opportunity to break away from riders of similar ability, right? So if you get into a climbing mountain course, you kind of know who's all going to be around you, similar watts per kilogram. But a course like this, it provides a lot of opportunity with the beach sections, with the cobbled sections, to kind of put some tactics out there and upset the pack. And people might let you slide away. You might be able to do some counters, 2 or 3 different attacks at different times. Next thing you know, everyone's in the red. And that's where you can really put people at similar watt per kilogram abilities on the back foot and get a breakaway happening.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if you just noticed that, Nathan. There was a lot of power up ditching there, and it was power ups like the Aero, which just tells me that these guys are probably chatting on Discord. And I want to see if that strategy that I know some people have talked about of laying down a 5-person steamroller challenge up those Italian villas and cobbles is actually going to happen, because you would never usually see in a race what you would define as a sprint race people ditching the Aero power up. That's the one you'd save for that sprint segment. So I think everyone wants that steamroller. I think we saw in lap 1 the couple of people who dropped it. They sort of did a team tactic there. Zed Sun dropped it, the next rider caught up, and then they used the Aero. So yeah, we're going to see some pretty interesting racing coming into lap 2 as they just round out, I think, under the banner for lap 1. So a 3-lap race today. That finish part is going to be quite an interesting one too, because we don't have a feather, and coming out of that tunnel, it's about 1 kilometre to go and you hit an uphill grind. So I'm not sure what the tactics will be. I'm assuming an Aero at the end with whoever's left.
Look at this. I mean, full gas too. They're trying to get a TTT off the front here as they head into a little bit of a climb. This is a good tactic because this is one of the only sections of the course. If they do have a rider to launch right here, right, you can control the front, ramp it up a little bit, and then launch a rider after a couple of attacks. The other rider's going to be on a little bit of a back foot. They're going to have their heart rates high. If your rider's been sitting in, especially with the new drafting dynamics, I found it's very, very good at giving you that wheel and really giving you a little bit of a rest if you can find it correctly. We may see a launch from a bombshell, but no, it looks like they might have put themselves in the back foot as they didn't set up very well. Interesting enough, we do see Torta off the front here from Team Fearless on the attack. Nice attack here now. Bam Babe's trying to come across as well as Brown, but she's got a gap here. I have this feeling this might break a few off the back. That might have been a fade climbing situation for the bombshells rather than an attack here. As they just try to hold on as Torta kisses off the front.
Yeah, I mean, this is that long kind of drag after that start-finish banner, up to 3-4%, and then they take that right-hand corner. I'm not really sure of the strategy here because Torda doesn't have any teammates with her, and the others are just happy to sit in the bunch. But you're right, Nathan, there are about 2 riders who have been jettisoned off the back, looking about 2 seconds off this main group, and that might be the end of the day for them. I'm actually just seeing, that chase pack as well is not too far behind. I mean, it is 27 seconds, but I think anyone who drops off is just going to get swallowed on up by that group coming from behind.
Let's go ahead and jump on in with the men's racing. They are out on course here at this point and about to hit up the main section that we've been talking about as the deciding factor with the sprint points out here today. So let's go ahead and jump on over and see how things are playing out. It is going to be the men's Div 2A that we are covering out here today. ZWC KISS Racing Team. I'm seeing a whole lot of Evo, as well as the Aero Masters are in here. The Aero Masters, the current leaders in this series right now. I have a feeling we had the standings. I linked them on over, but I have a feeling we showed some of the standings from last season. So you guys got a good look at how we came into this season, but ZWC now on the attack. We'll update you, everyone, with the current situation in just a moment, but it is going to be Kobayashi here on the attack. ZWC Evo now with Burlesque now come over the top. There is the Steamroller, and that we're going to start seeing how this can really play out here. Look at all the Steamrollers here, Anna.
Oh,
absolutely
that's
flying to
awesome.
the front.
Oh, that is so good. I love it. They're just like 4 or 5 of them just banging them out. I mean, but you made a good point earlier, Nathan. I actually don't know if this is the best time to drop it because I think it would also flatten out those cobbles, and they hit the cobbles right after this dirt section. So someone who could just stay with this group, not drop a power up, and then drop it sort of roundabout now may have the better option for getting to the front and getting a bit of a kick on this other group, because this will be the time they set those fastest time segments on this first lap sprint.
Yeah, over the top with speed is always the way to make a break. It's not always the uphills. A lot of times it's when everybody sits up a little bit for that rest. Endo now with 12 watts per kilogram. Wanting to get a little bit of a jump here, most likely because he does not have an aero power-up. We'll see if he can hold on with 12 at 757, 790 almost watts. It looks like 181 beats per minute here. Aero Masters looking to come across. Will they be able to shut it down? I'm not sure. It looks like it's going to happen. ZWC with the lead out. Really, though, is it's going to be Farrer there. The Spaniard, Aero Masters, unable to make it happen. Second, though.
Wow, that was a come from behind. That must have been Farrer, I think, and then you had the Masters all coming up, about 3 riders. Someone's hit that steamroller power up at just the wrong time, unfortunately. But yeah, that was an amazing sprint finish, and as we'll see now, they hit a climb. They go into a nice negative 4% grade, but then they go up, and it's not up a huge amount, 3%, but it's enough to just earn those sprinting legs. And I think these guys are really motivated to make a break because they're still pushing pretty hard with really high heart rates.
Well, there's actually a counter here coming from Elliott. Is that going to be? No, it's going to be the Aero Master with P-Speed here now. Over the top. Looks like it's going to be Evo trying to shut that down with mashed potato there. Hickford's going to sit in. This is about controlling the front of this pack, I think, here with Hickford and the Aero boys there. But I do believe we do have Elliott here, one of the dirt riders on that. Venge, not Shiv, Nathan. 850. I almost said Shiv again. I was so close. I got, like, it is stuck there. Blake here, Hickford now, shutting it right on down. The counter's not going to happen. We'll see if we can get another one. You know, the pack is interesting at this point. If we do see it go below 3 watts per kilogram or even at 3.5, and you're able to give a little bit of a jump from the back of the packs to like a 7 or 8, you could take the speed through this section. But at 51 kilometers per hour, I'm always kind of watching that number. What's the speed of the pack? If it were to slow down to 48, I know with a solid attack, strong rider, you can hold 50 for quite a while, get a gap, and hopefully someone comes across. I don't think they're going to be super motivated for that just yet. I think we have to wait a lap or two before we start seeing those kind of attacks to try and stay away.
Yeah, and I am just seeing some great geeking out questions on our YouTube feed around the acceleration and deceleration of the different bike types. I'm loving this kind of discussion. So thanks for that, James Eastwood and James Barnes, for the comments there. But it was a really good point. So with the disc wheel in real life, when you try and sprint, it's actually really hard to kind of get it going. There we go. So in real life, would it accelerate slower? Apparently, the Tron decelerates faster when it hits dirt. So the assumption is it would accelerate faster. But that's sort of just Chris McCarter there saying that that's just sort of anecdotal evidence. I don't know if it's actually been tested, correct me if I'm wrong. So even though the disc, I think, could accelerate a little slower, I think once it gets up to speed and you drop an aero like we saw there, it will still go a lot faster than the Tron.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a quick look. We're about to jump on over to the women's next climb up and on through. This was the sprint situation, though, that we just had. It was Endo off the front, as you can see there. Aero Masters looking to shut it down, and they were able to do so with a little bit of a lead out. The other ZWC man actually being the lead out man, interesting enough. But nope, is going to be fairer there. The Spaniard across. Aero Master with Luke McKenzie. Well-known rider, actually, out of the Aero Masters Australia. Looks like coming through for second. Go ahead and jump on in with the women's racing, though. Yeah, we do have a little bit of a stutter, everybody. I did see the comment about that. We'll see if we can get rid of the stuttering there as it comes on through. It is not on your guys' end, but if you're having full on lag and the pictures are stopping, that is not from the stream. Now, looking on through, though, it looks like this is that breakaway group. You did see 35 seconds. Tasman trying to shut things down. I don't think this is coming back. And we do see the arrows, the steamrollers being popped at the front. It is going to be who's here off the front just a little bit here. Lots of steamrollers. It is going to be BRT on the attack, trying to shut down the dominance of AHDR, though.
Yeah, BRT, two riders from BRT, one from Z Sun. This group is definitely pulled away from the chase pack. So this will be where our winning team and winning rider comes from. And I'm loving the purple power up as well. I just love seeing that steamroller drop. I have never seen it being dropped before, so this is a super exciting race for me. But I still wonder if that's maybe just a little bit too early. I think it only lasts, it looks like 10 to 15 seconds. We've seen that BRT rider just get rolled over there, and we've got the TBR team now starting to drop it. That's what I thought, drop it more near the top and take it over the cobbles and get a bit of momentum. But the TBR and it looks like a Z-Sun, maybe some BRT, just coming in. A little break here with four riders. I wonder if they'll end up making the most of this, because they've got a couple here from the same team coming onto the nice smooth tarmac now. We've got some pretty fast setouts. We'll see those specialized binge probably take it out over the Trons. Depends if someone's got an aero. The sprint starts now about 360 meters. I'd be opening up with about 150 to 100 to go.
Z-Sun trying to shut it down. I think that gap is just way too much as Lucy leads the thing out at 6 watts per kilogram. I have a feeling there's going to be one rider amongst these that have been waiting for the pounce, perhaps. But no, it was a whole lot of watts, it looks like, over the top of that climb. They just all went all in, it looks like. No jump. It's just a race of attrition for the points now. It's going to be Lucy, Alexander, as well as G. Paul across line for the bombshells. Martin going to have to settle for fourth amongst them. It was W. De Rue out of Switzerland for Z-Sun across line. It looks like for fifth. We'll start getting some points coming through as soon as they do update. TBR setting on. Lam Kong trying to come across there with the Afro Puff and the Tron. With M out of France on the wheel. Fighting for position. And that's something you'll notice actually with the new updates to the pack dynamics. The fighting for position, you can actually visibly see it now as the avatars bump each other out of the sections of the course that they are wanting and having to give a little bit of extra watts, actually a lot of extra watts, to get over the top of somebody if you really do want to pass them at certain points. As you do see other riders now jump into this little bit of a chase. There is a gap now at this point, though, and it is going to be the bombshells now off the front. Is there one rider actually still? Is that going to be right? Wow, there's actually Hose is way off the front on the attack at this point.
Wow.
I have a feeling, and we've got a break situation. See if we can jump in with her. Excuse me, no, she's actually off the back. Interesting here. We've got a little bit of a mix-up between the courses here. Being a newer course, I have a feeling that that's what it has to do with as they're as it populates. They're near each other on course, and so it's trying to update exactly where the riders are at, actually. But it is going to be G. Paul that's off the front, actually, from the bombshells. The German riders got a 3-second gap over Alexander, Martin, and then Heidi and the rest there on the chase. This could, if they sit up, Paul could get away.
She's riding 5 watts a kg downhill, so she wants to get away. She's not cruising on the downhill at all.
195 too. Look at that heart
now.
rate.
Oh, that's brutal. I mean, this isn't an A group. This is a B group. I mean, those are some serious watts she's putting down, and there's a huge heart rate. So I still just don't know if that strategy is going to work from this point. It's lap 2. If this was lap 3, and they're coming into the finish, this could work pretty well. Oh, I just think that this is maybe a little bit risky and burning a ton of matches, especially when you've got the likes of Zsun chasing you down. I'm not sure where Kong is. 4 seconds back. I mean, Kong, she knows how to race on Zwift. I don't think they're going to let this get too far out. I think maybe if it hits 6 seconds, I'll start putting in a bit more of a turn at the front and pull it on in. Although I did just watch Flanders, and I saw Annemiek van Vleuten do an attack, get 10 seconds, hold 10 seconds, and then win by quite a significant margin because the chase group lost motivation. So let's see if that happens here. I think she's just up to 3 seconds, but yeah, those watts have dropped quite significantly now.
Yeah, it looks like it was a situation where she was trying to see if the pack was going to settle on down. It does look like Alexander, though, to the front at 3.5, going to shut it down. Martin as well here. And, you know, being a part of the HDR crew, the Bam Babes, though, it doesn't look like any love lost between the teams here at this point, and they don't care chasing down the sister teams here, it looks like. Now, Brown to the front, maybe going to see a counterattack. It'd be a perfect time to do it as soon as they hit the sand section. Very early there with that steamroller. Not sure this is the section to be doing that with just yet, but it does look like maybe just trying to grab a little extra energy, reserve something, as there may be some counters. This will be the section to go if you're going to do it. It does look like a little bit of attack here from Zsun, 4.5 here coming from Heidi. Now, and yep, a little bit of a break may happen, but everybody looks like they're holding right on. They're reserving these. They know exactly where to use these, Anna.
Oh, I know. This is, I mean, when I go out and ride this course, reconning myself, there are so many people out, even on a time where you would never usually see people. I see a ton of people who are obviously reconning. They know what they're doing. They're using these power-ups at the right time. I mean, the problem is because everyone wants this power-up so badly, people are hoarding it. So it is neutralizing the front of the field just slightly because there's just so many people dropping it at the same time. If anyone's watching, or Nathan, even if you know, do the steamroller power-ups work on this slatted kind of bridge? Is this a part of the course that slows you down, or is it just the dirt sections?
I believe it is just the dirt sections on here that they do slow you down through. I do not believe, because at least for me, it might be a little bit different between them, but from what I have noticed, only the dirt sections are the ones that really slow you down like a ton, because I do find that I do get a little bit more rolling speed through the sections out on course that are through those little bridges that are out there. But the thing is that's interesting about it is the rumble, though, does come through on smart trainers that have that pack involved in it. So that is also an interest. You know, I wonder if because of that, it does at least have some sort of slowdown through those sections. It'd be really interesting to see you know, the difference between those. Somebody should jump on out there and give just a little, like, you'd have to do a really specific type test, though, to make that happen. But definitely something maybe for Zwift Insider to look into.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, I mean, still the chit-chat's going on about the acceleration v deceleration. So that's probably another one. Looks like it's a huge topic of interest. I think there's been about 20 comments on that so far, but I think the general consensus is disc wheel is still the best for this course. I mean, the good thing about this APAC division, it's the first race cab off the rank. And so if you're wanting to get some insights into the racing happening over the next day or so, then this is a good one to watch. We've seen the disc wheels are going well, but there's a lot of trons, a lot of people dropping steamrollers at just the right time and kind of ditching those aero and draft power-ups unless they're using them in team kind of situations. So get chatting to your teammates, know who's got what power-ups, and make sure you sort of work in and use them together. I think what I'm seeing is working really well is a steamroller early attack up those Italian villas. Teammates jump on your wheel, get a bit of a draft, and then they start to drop the aero or the draft power up with about that 150 meters to go. That seems to be what's happened in both the men's and the women's racing tonight.
As they do head on through the underground here, underwater sections on Ocean Boulevard. It's getting a little bit quieter. We're about a lap and a half in. Going to have one lap to go as they go underneath that banner in just a moment. There's going to be another sprint out there today for the ladies to grab some more points. We'll see if we can get some updates on the current situation for the points. We are starting to get some of them come through for the segments, but some being a newer course, we're being told that some of the point segments need a little bit of adjustments out there, so we'll wait for those to be right. If you want points now, or do you want them to be correct? We'll wait for them to be absolutely correct. Now, interesting enough, it's only 12 seconds back here. Solo Chaser does look like Stoll Island now. TBR Smile On not giving in one bit. I mean, 2.8, 146, now maybe saying, okay, enough is enough. But for a little while there, out in no women's land, trying to bring things back, I have a feeling perhaps she was dropped off through that dirt section. It can really catch you off guard.
Yeah, it's a really gutting place to be because she'll see here, the group in front is 12 seconds ahead, the group behind is 20 seconds behind, and you just think mathematically you should be able to catch up that 12 seconds, but you just can't. This will extend to 13, 14, 15, and that back group will end up sort of bringing up some speed and swallowing her up. So, I mean, you kind of look at this, and if you're in this situation, I mean, you can keep battling on and on, but at some point I think you just got to sit up and enjoy the rest of the ride in the chase pack.
Yeah, for sure. Time to maybe get in with that chase pack, see what she can get for a sprint. There's still plenty on the line for the team, so need to get some points for the team, save up for that, and make our way across. Now, we're going to see if we can jump back in with the men's race as they are jumping on over toward their second sprint. They're about to hit up that crucial section of the course as they head on toward the beach. It's going to be still involved in the racing now at this point. We are seeing Aero Masters current leaders. I do see 4 of their jerseys. Evo's still here on the pink bikes. I'm always loving the Evo setup. All right. The uniformity of Aero, what do you think here when it comes to the kits? They're looking good because of it, aren't they, Anna?
It's always so hard for me because, I mean, Evo Savages is just always on point. You know, they're called the Magenta Train. I think I remember the team manager saying that if they didn't have the Magenta Tron, they're at risk of getting kicked off the team. I mean, they just always
That's a big one. Kicked off the team?
I mean,
really? Oh, my goodness.
I love it. I love it. And so you look, I mean, their new kit just looks outstanding. That
that is savage.
Horizontal stripe.
I mean, that is like
it is.
Dress code savage. When we're talking about fashion police, that dude is the sergeant, like taking on his whole team here. I'm loving it. Setting the standard here, Anna.
Oh, it's getting savage out there in the fashion world of Zwift. I'll tell you, people are not allowing their teammates to have anything that doesn't look spot on. But there's 2 strategies. They either go, everything looks amazing, or everything looks shocking. And I kind of like both. So I like what Evo does here. Aero's looking pretty good. They've got a lot of the yellow Trons. I mean, as people know from this league, I'm a New Zealander. I always find it tricky with the Australian colours. It's always a hard one for me. It's really hard to say that I absolutely love the kit, but it does look very tidy tonight.
It is looking very tidy. I have to agree with you there. Now, Zebra to see struggling a little bit. Interesting to see off the back, just a tad. You do see that's going to be the red and white on the back with the dark blue for the ZWC. Is that going to be one of the riders that took down the first sprint? Rich, perhaps, actually not going to be who I thought it was. Now it's going to be Sasuga, though. That's who was off the back here, trying to hang on. 7.5, 174 beats per minute. Riders already struggling, I think, just a tad. Is that going to be a lapped rider up ahead? Stuart Featherstone from Bear Claw. Good to see him jumping on in here as we move our way forward. Look at all of this. It's going to be Kobayashi, who did make an early attack. 191 beats coming from him. Burlesque trying to come across now. D. Elliott. There's the stream roller, and that is a huge attack here coming from Burlesque and Muse. Now 6.2. Continuance is going to happen now. Dirt trying to come across. I think the steamroller at this point is what it's going to be all about, though, as Burlesque is going to shut that down along with Rich from ZWC. Endo, our man for the sprint the first time, opening it up now, coming across as well.
This is just amazing. I mean, that was a huge drop of power-ups, but now who has got the aero? Because I think now in lap 2, that's going to come down to that power-up coming into this last part of the sprint and those, early drops of aero, I think, from that aero team. I almost think you got to stick on wheels and drop it just a little bit later, a little bit closer to the line. But we're seeing huge orange numbers here. Massive, got a huge flyer off the front. Raise here from WTRL. Huge numbers getting followed up by Magawa from Japan and Endo, who we saw, I think, the early attack from. This might be Raise here. Takes it to the line.
So close. I think he
Oh,
got it, but Diamato there, and it was teammates though. WTRL and the TZP riders, both of them in the black kits. I have a feeling it was right. Oh, we'll see if we can get a replay of that one, because that came right down to it here. The points are going to tell us as well what was happening there, but what a crazy sprint there between the two teammates. Came right down to it, and it looks like it was. Oh, let's go ahead and see if we can back that up. Let's get a slow motion rewind there. But looking at it, I have a feeling maybe, I mean, what do you call here, Anna, between these two? I have a feeling it was the second rider that actually, Amato. It shows that in game, his avatar on the right-hand side, it shows he just came over the top on the friends nearby list. I think it was Amato just barely. Then it's going to be, it looks like Rich from ZWC, followed up by Megagawa and then Endo. So ZWC grabbing quite a few points, but this BA team kind of coming out of nowhere, it looks like.
Oh, that was tight. And Mon Rich, I know from Season 2, is a phenomenal sprinter. So the fact that he's getting pipped there by like 4 other riders just shows the quality of this field. And they've just, they went through that little climb. They've just pushed off a few riders off the back on that climb, it looks like, as they're hitting this -1. And like I said in the women's race, they have to be really careful here, because that front group is going to have more momentum on this sort of false downhill at only the -1, but it builds up a ton of momentum. And I think this is danger time for Sasuga here, Ricci, Blake and Charles. It looks so close to that group in front, but that group in front is moving very fast.
Yeah, see if we can move forward here, see what kind of speeds. We're looking at 49 kilometers per hour currently coming from this lead group. 49 here from Sasuga. He's got to close it down now. Needs a little bit of help here from Ricci. They're both up in at 177, 190 beats per minute now at this point. And I am seeing a couple of riders for later tonight coming on through in chat, and I think they're 100% correct about this. Tommy Blake, great little comment coming in from Tommy, because this is way harder than you would expect, because the sprint is immediately after that climb with the steamroller. It's a big punch, try and recover, and then another huge punch for all the points that are huge for whether or not you're going to do well in this league. What a great course for the pickup here on this Sprinters Preems points race. I'm absolutely loving the setup here from Zwift right now, and WTR, I think they put a perfect race on out here today for us, and it is matching up. Lots of sections of attack, and really the racers can make the race, and because of these sections, these tactical sections, it makes it so much more fun for them and for us to watch here. Now, P-Speed, he did this on the first lap. Give it another go, and this time he's got 3 seconds to work with. He could get somebody to jump across right here. That's what I'm hoping for. In my head, if I'm him, please, someone come across. Big orange numbers. Don't just pull the group. Please give a big kick and get to my wheel so we can get away.
Yeah, this has got to be a team strategy for that Aeromasters team, but I can see Mon Rich, who I think is from Aeromasters as well, not really putting in the big enough numbers that you're talking about and just dragging the group up while burning matches, so it isn't really going to work. You're going to have to literally sprint into orange numbers. You can't just hold 6 watts, you're just pulling everyone up. So, yeah, not the best strategy from this group, although I think actually Mon Rich, different team, so just pulled up that pack. What is Aero playing at there, though? What each lap? Why is that rider going off the front? If anyone from Aero is watching, what's that all about? I'm not really understanding why you'd be doing that each lap, other than maybe they just feel great and want to put a bit of pain on.
Now, looking through here, it does look like Sasuga was able to get back on terms. ZWC do have the numbers, and I have a feeling that's why ZWC shut that down. Because look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders just in the camera view here right now for ZWC. They wanted to have strength in numbers, I have a feeling. You know, a rider that may have fallen off like Sasuga at this point, you know, he sits in and he can be a sacrifice for the rest of the team at this point, though, knowing maybe perhaps there isn't a whole lot left in the tank for a sprint later on, maybe able to grab some points again. But the reality is that now at this point, they kind of know who is got the abilities, and maybe they want it to come down to a sprint finish. Maybe ZWC is just controlling this race in order to try and grab the final points across the finish line, being the biggest points on the day. So they are definitely controlling this. Arrow, though, they want to try and get away. Dirt and Evo, they're in for the ride here, it looks like. WTRLBA there, they're also in here as well and grabbing a few points in between. But it seems to me that it is the ZWC versus Aero Masters out here today.
Yeah, there's the Aero Masters are definitely playing some kind of a game. I can't quite gather what it is yet as to what they're doing with those riders going off a little bit early, but they're going to have something in store for lap number 3. I mean, as well, coming in, and if we stay with these guys, when we see them come out of the tunnel, that's the kind of part that I'm interested in lap 3, because I think now we're getting to a little bit of a race of attrition. In the men's race, we did see some pretty dominant sprints there, but in the women's race, it was kind of a bit of a rollover. People are getting tired, and if it's a group like this that looks, about 20 riders, 25 riders, it's going to come down to that sort of last kilometre of the race. I'm not sure they're going to really drop too many from now. And I'm kind of interested, without a feather, how are you going to play that with the climb coming out of this tunnel with a K to go to the finish line? Next lap, though, this is just lap 2. I think they'll just roll through the finish line, keep going into lap 3, and leave as many cards as they can at that sprint on lap 3.
Before we jump back over to the women's final sprint through the beach section and the sprint out there today, let's take a quick look at how things are standing for the points. It is going to be Kimamoto with the most points so far on the day. David Kimamoto followed up by Goyini, and then it's going to be Luke McKenzie. Toshiaka Magawa there, followed up by Kenta Endo for ZWC Monridge. Now, this is for the first across the line are currently functioning, just so everybody knows. First across the line, that's what we're going to have. We'll get the fastest segment points up as soon as we possibly can, but just wanted to give you guys an idea of where things are standing currently, as David Kimamoto for that TZPP team are currently leading things out. Let's go ahead and jump on in with the ladies, though, as they are taking on their next climb out there, and they're about to actually head on into their final sprint. There are 3 off the front here. As you can see, it's going to be Martin there again on the attack coming out of Australia. And then it is going to be Lam Kong, followed up by Liana from Z-Sun. So Z-Sun's able to stay involved just barely, it looks like. 3 off the front. Again, being a sprinter stage, you thought, but this is proving to be a race of attrition out here, Anna.
I mean, it almost kind of reminds me of more of a Richmond course, where you've got that climb that is sort of like that, who can hold the max power for 1 minute? And it seems to be these riders each time around. What's interesting here, 3 riders from 3 different teams. Looks like Z-Sun, BRT, and then AHDR, and we can see Kong here opening up early. I mean, she was great on lap 1. I think we believe she got fastest time segment just from how fast she went out, and it looks like she is all business now. They just had around 200 meters to go. They've got a hard left-hand turn, hit the finish line about 50 meters after that, and she is all in. Another Z-Sun rider on her tail, but I mean, like I said, race of attrition. She's just putting in the effort and tends to just roll over. Whether she goes now for an all-out attack doesn't look like it, as her watts per kg dropped to below 2, waiting for the other ones to catch up. But that's 7 seconds ahead now. I think this is a break.
Definitely a break. All teams represented now at this point as well. BRT, Z-Sun, and it's going to be Lamcom with the Bam Babes from AHDR. And Lamcom, such a cagey rider. Very, very smart. I'll be watching out for her to just sit in. Look at it. Look at that. 1.8, 155, 109 watts. You see a lot of fluctuation in the watts, but you don't see her avatar overtaking, going past. It's a smart rider, a rider who knows how to use the control of her legs to really put the avatar exactly where she wants it to be over and over again. Bombshell's now trying to come across. It looks like trying to shut this down, as well as M from Z-Sun hanging onto the wheel. Now, this is interesting. She's trying to get involved in this as Bam Babes from AHDR. They're not the same team, so this is not going to be... Now, there may be a little bit of helping out because they are a sister team, similar brand, but they are in full competition against each other. So Z-Sun actually just picked up a rider into this lead group at this point. Definitely, though, watch out for Lamcom being, I think, one of the most experienced amongst this group right now.
Yeah, Z Sun's in a great position here. You see two HDRs, but like you said, Nathan, not the same team, so I don't think they'll particularly work together. Two Z Sun riders. I mean, unfortunate for the BRT rider. I think that's just a little bit too many friendly teammates against one. And although the women's leagues are always very friendly, it's never good looking around a little bunch and not seeing any of your teammates there. And I'm gonna I'm gonna say we might see Z Sun pull this one out. I think they could have a really good shot at the finish line. Bit of a longer lead in if they go for that early uphill climb sort of attack, which I have seen work before a few times. I think it could work in this kind of a group because I believe the three who sprinted last time would just have burnt legs. And maybe those two, they didn't spend too many matches catching up to the group. They just did it in a nice controlled way. I'd be looking out for them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, looking through here, if they start resting a little bit, this BRT, and actually one team that is not involved here, it is going to be TBR with Lucy at this point. So Brown, 3.7, pulling along, might be able to get TBR involved again if she starts working alongside of Brown now. But 165 beats per minute now, as you can see, 178, really on the rivet there. Alexander in between it all here. Oh, man, 4.0 watts per kilogram. She got a teammate behind now, 5 seconds up, but she cannot wait. 7 seconds is a huge gap at this point. Looks like she's going to make this happen. I think she might be able to come across. Heidi actually fell off.
Yeah.
What happened here? She was on the front for a moment. Interesting enough, we lost.
Looks like a drop out.
Yeah, I think you're right. But look at the power. Obviously comfortable still. She just came right back involved, right in there.
That's really good. I feel like my heart rate would spike so high when you're in that front leading group at the end of a race and you have a dropout and end up, 50 meters behind. Man, that would spike my heart rate. But, pro. Nice and controlled. Caught back up. I think they've righted just behind them. Is it Alexander? 3 seconds back.
Alexander.
Still
I think
riding
she might
around
do
that
this.
4 watts.
I really think she's going to make this happen.
She could. If she's got a steamroller now, she'll catch up because she can just put it on in the dirt section, put in a hard sort of 6-7 pedal strokes. I think she'll make that difference. Only 3 seconds. Like, that's so heartbreaking if she doesn't make it because you can just see their wheels ahead. If any of these riders drop a steamroller, though, I think she's not going to make it.
Looking at the Zwift Power information here across the riders at this point, I am seeing that this rider, Alexander, is most definitely more of a TT specialist. So she does get involved before they hit that downhill. And that's really going to be the question. Can she close this 3 seconds, 2 seconds now before the downhill into the underwater? She has to close it right now because if they hit that little 3% downhill, that pack is going to roll away from her. And it's probably going to be done at that point. Liana there from Z-Sun does not want it to happen, but she also does not want to waste too much. And it looks like Alexander's going to make this happen. Now,
Do it.
yeah, it looks like she's definitely making it happen. Sarah Alexander, though, this rider is all FTP. She's got, it doesn't look like, as comparatively with the riders that are in this league group, it is not a sprinter. She's not a sprinter. So most likely, what you could see from the TBR rider here is maybe just either roll right through them after the downhill, get a little reprieve on the downhill, and then try and roll away, or get away on that climb out of Ocean Boulevard. I mean, that was really her opportunity because at 5.1 watts per kilogram for 15 seconds versus Lamb Calm's reality. I mean, Lamb Calm, we're talking 10.7. I mean, So Lucy Esdale, watch out for her here also from TBR, but is Esdale actually off the back? So no, Lucy's not here. So excuse me on that. Out of all these riders here, Lamb Calm, she's got a solid almost 2 watts per kilogram over everybody else. Watch out for Heidi Hunt, though. Hunt might be able to make something happen. I believe she's still in here as well from the Bombshells. It is AHDR versus AHDR, but Bombshells there with that 9 watts per kilogram. But almost 2 watt per kilogram difference. Lamb Column's got the advantage. I think they have to break her before they hit the sprint.
I think we're definitely going to see an early attack up that climb, and I think we would see it from Alexander, unless she burnt too many matches trying to catch back on. She was riding about 4 watts a kg, which is pretty high for this category. But you've got to burn a Lamb Kong on that hill. That's the only way you're going to beat her in a sprint, because if you've been watching her riding, so smart, just chilling at the back of the pack, putting out very few watts, saving all of that electricity for that final 200 meters of the race. And you can see there, massive first across line points for Lamb Kong in tonight's race. I mean, she is just the real deal when it comes to sprinting. We saw it in the last season. We're seeing it now. All these riders have got to do something. I'll be disappointed not to see an early attack.
Yeah, we do see Z-Sun, though. They are still involved. 21 points, as you can see here, currently coming from the Z-Sun rider. So solid so far from them. They could get plenty of points across the line for the finish line still, especially having two riders up front here. If they're able to do a 1-2 workover on Lam Kong at this point, that could put AHDR Bam Babes on the back foot for these points overall as they come across line. YRC and Z-Sun, they're also with 4th and 5th place currently. TBR Smilon still involved with Lucy Esdale as well as Sarah Alexander. They're in that 6th and 3rd place. So this race is definitely not over when it comes to the point structures on the day, with Z-Sun still involved at the front here. BRT are in there as well, but I'm not seeing a whole lot from BRT on the points leaderboard. It is just going to be Meg Brown involved at the front. She's 22 seconds back now at this point, now 21 as she's involved still with one of the chase groups with W. Day Rue, another Z-Sun rider as well with Lucy Brown. And then it is going to be W. Day Rue. So that's the 3 here involved. But again, back to the front, 6 riders all vying for that top spot tonight. 1, 2, 3 for the podium.
Yeah, they're about 1,400 meters to go. We're going to hit that little uphill climb. That's, I think, where we're going to see some action. About 300 meters till they hit that. You can just see that on the map in the top right corner. Just, cruising along at 0 now. You can feel it almost. You can feel the caginess of this group. Kind of no one's wanting to push too hard. You can see those watts per kg pretty low. You can see Kong at the back there, just at around 2.2. She's just hanging on, having a nice ride of her life. Following any of the moves, as we see now, that little elevation map starting to creep up. You can see it on screen now as well. This always makes me feel a little bit nervous because who's going to go? You can start to see some orange numbers, hopefully. I'm hoping to see an early attack because that's the only way they're going to break the sprinters. Looks like Alexander, our big diesel, is heading out the front. Heidi here from Bombshells up to 5 watts a kg, but dropped it back again. Alexander here heading up to that 4, but again drops it back. I'm not seeing the attack I thought I would. Heidi back up a little bit again, but not a definitive attack here really off the front. Everyone's probably going to touch on her wheel, and that's the end of the climb. So unfortunately it will come down to a sprint. My money's on Lam Kong.
Yeah, Lam Kong most likely, now that they've sat in at this point. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of breakaways from here on out. You could see a little bit of a counter through this flat section, perhaps. It would have to be a pretty big jump into the little rise. There is one more little rise. I've seen it successful once in a while. Usually somebody can stick a wheel, though, and it looks like it is all back together. So 6 riders still, perhaps. Did we lose one, or did I miscount earlier? No, we do still have 6. So it is going to be AHDR, Bam Babes, Bombshells. BRT is still involved here, going to the front. Martin now, 2.2, backing right on off, just on the control, making sure she's marking wheels most likely now. Lam Kong, 4.1. Wait for the moment because Lam Kong's going to jump any moment now.
Yeah, this is that little climb that you just mentioned, Nathan. It goes up to about 3%, but for a very short period of time. So it's a tricky one to get a good attack on. But if you've attacked early, it's a good one to just up the watts again and just really drill the gap on the others. But here we've got our TBR rider just leading off the front. The ones we've got teammates are kind of settling in a bit. AHDR coming near the front. It still feels super cagey. Power up's been dropped. Got a drafting power up here. Looks like it's been dropped from Heidi. Or is it Lam Kong?
She does. She has a drafting, no arrow. She might get overtaken because of this. This is everything.
She will. That's it. I think she's burned too many matches during the race. I think that was a desperate last-ditch attack. We've got an AHDR rider here with the aero power up, dropping it perfectly under that bridge. Heidi from Bombshells, but M here from France. She's going to take it out. Aero drop. Was it 10, 11 watts per kg? She has got this. She knew she had the sprint. That is amazing. Hats off to you, M from France. Definitive win here over AHDRL.
What a kick there coming in. And huge result. And Z-Sun taking it down. Heidi Bombshells, Lam Kong. So Bombshells, 2nd and 3rd, round out the podium, but Z-Sun end up taking it down. Now, let's jump back in with the men. They just finished up their sprint. We'll jump in with them. They finished up their final sprint just a moment ago. We do have a replay of it, so we'll jump in and take a look at the replay. Let's see what the damage that has been done, though, because of that final sprint. There was a little bit of a break up and over the top of the climb into the sprinting section. It did break things off back to 20th place. They are setting up there for the final kick to the line. Perfect opportunity at this point. Speak to that a little bit, Anna. I think right now, It's kind of a now or never for somebody that doesn't want a sprint situation, though. They really need to just start doing the 1-2 attacks if there are enough bodies within a team to really make something happen. Anybody who wants to control the race, though, they just cover those moves.
I think the problem we're seeing is this is not a sprinter's course. It hasn't been a sprint and then an ease off. I think with that climb coming into the sprint and then that little kicker coming out of the sprint, these legs are just dead. And I think you're just seeing that people are trying little strategies. We saw Aero going off in laps 1 and 2 to sort of, I think, do 1-2s, but then you had ZWC catching right back on, pushing up and closing those gaps. I think this is a lot harder than people have anticipated, and any kind of team strategies they had for those 1-2s just kind of go out the window because they're too tired.
Yeah, most likely just a little bit too much, most likely because of the reality of each and every one of those sprints. Going to really put some sting in the legs here. So we'll see if we do see anything from them, but definitely been a tough race. A little bit more than what they expected. We see it in chat a lot too. Maybe just a little bit much for these riders out here today.
Yeah, good showing here from Aero on the front though. Just looks like 1 or 2 Evo riders, and a good showing here from, I believe that's ZWC as well near the front. They're hitting this dirt section. We're seeing some steamrollers being dropped. I mean, you'd be a bit disappointed now to have a steamroller because you're in the bunch. You'd be wanting that Aero, as we saw in the women's race. The Aero is king for the finish. If you're racing on the next day, save that Aero on that last lap. Use it at the finish, because a steamroller now, as we're seeing, does really nothing. You're not able to get away from the pack. Everyone's going to stay together to the line. Will we see that early 1 kilometer attack out of the ocean tunnel?
There it is, though. They continue to make this happen. Goyini now on the attack here. Speed there also. He's been wanting to get away. They do not want the sprint against ZWC, and I really do think ZWC, as well as that WTRL team, they have been wanting to keep this together. They know they have the kick, but the Masters, they got the FTP, and they want to get away through this section. They've got a break. It is looking to happen. Look, this is when you know that the separation is really there. You got 3 or 4 still stragglers left and right. If people keep coming over the top with those kicks, riders tend to blow up. Rich here now, 158. Looks like he can shut this down. He's trusting the wheels. Angler, though, 170 now. Endo as well, trying to get back on terms. They're going to drop one of the Aero Masters, though, off the back. It's not working out for Dimmock. Dimmock actually just a little bit earlier was on the attack over the top of the sprint climb section. Does get back involved, though, and all back together. Speaking of that, though, real quickly, this was what just happened moments ago to get us to this situation right now. This is the replay. It was Dimmock off the front there for the final kick for this last sprint for the points. Elliott shut it down there at 4.7 watts per kilogram, as you can see, leading things out. Luke McKenzie from Aero, but it was going to be Endo coming up and over the top now. Luke McKenzie battling to the line with Mashed Potato from Evo. Mashed Potato, McGower, though, 12 watts per kilogram there. Aero trying to hold on with what he got, but no, it's going to be ZWC over the top. 1-2, easy. Mashed Potato rounding it out for third with the turkey and the plates across the line.
Wow, that was dominant from ZWC. And I mean, looking at the group now, unless something's crazy has happened in that last minute, which it hasn't, we've got a pack coming to the line. We will definitely see an attack out of that climb, because you do not want to take McGower or Endo to the finish. Look at those points that they've gathered throughout this race. They'll be going for all-out line honours. Trust me. I am seeing that they're riding Trons, though. It's kind of... I'm second-guessing my bike choice for tomorrow. I'm seeing that they're sprinting pretty well with those Tron bikes. Also, I think that could be a better bike selection than the slippery bike. But yeah, we'll see that tomorrow. They're coming up to nearing the end of this section. We saw nothing happen in the women's race, just kind of eased up over that climb. I think we'll see something here for sure. What do you think, Nathan?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think with this many riders in amongst this group, you're going to have some itchy legs. You're going to have a little bit of anxiety in the inside. You know, you got those butterflies like, oh, man, I don't know if I want to come to the line. I saw what ZWC just made happen. I know a couple of riders have been sitting in this entire time waiting for that moment to go. Some of these riders, might have been just waiting for this last 1K and saying, I'm just going to throw in everything I got at 1K to go. And they just throw down the full-on attack. That's all they were in it for. We'll see what ends up happening. If they know they don't have it up against ZWC, somebody's going to try and make something happen. Now, really the tactic here is, somebody's going to be watching live. They might be saying, Nathan, you're giving away too many secrets here. But I think the tactic is, from my experience on this, it's so short, somebody can completely burn their match at a 9, 10 watts per kilogram, you can sit on it at about 7 to maybe 8, and then you can come over the top when the speed really picks up. And that's really where you can win this race with the breakaway situation at this 1K or so to go. I'm not sure it's going to stick, though, with how much power is in this group. It's maybe just one, I don't know, 3, 4 too many bodies. A couple less, might not be able to shut it down, but I have a feeling it's going to shut on down anybody who tries to get away here.
Yeah, we're seeing some orange numbers just peak up there from Magawa, who is our favoured sprinter for this race. I do think you're right there, Nathan. I think this strategy works perhaps when there's only a very small group, maybe 5. This group too big. There's almost nothing going over the top there. A bit of a push from mashed potato to 7.8. Yeah, just pretty relaxed though. Not a major push. I think everyone's just going to go for the sprint, and this is a pack sprint of what, 25 riders? I mean, it's almost anyone's game here.
Yeah, Aero Master is now Speed, the rider who did put a lot of energy out on course. I'm not sure he's going to have any Matchbox less. Now Moose there. Featherstone's here with for Bear Claw now 1.5, 165 beats per minute, looking pretty calm here at this point for him. Speed there 164. Who's got the low heart rate is going to be the question. You did mention M Rich, only at 154 there, and ZWC they've been dominating so far, but have Dirt saving anything. Also, we did see the WTRL team there as well take down a couple of sprints. So who is it going to be for the first cross line? Who's been saving it up? And it looks like it's going to be the control here coming from Diaz on the front, looking to bait something out, I think, to set something up for his teammates.
Yeah, that was a great bait. Push up to the front, then drop those watts majorly. We've seen an aero power up already being dropped here. Looks like by Diaz coming through too early, in my opinion. I think there'll be a few dropping from the pack now. Drafting power up being dropped mid-pack. Good time to drop it. They'll be getting a little bit momentum down this negative 1% grade. Anglia, though, will they be able to take this to the line? That is a little bit of a gap there. Catching on 1 second, seeing those orange numbers being dropped now, though. We see Speed, huge player in the game tonight, and coming through Torito. No mashed potato. Evo with that pink bike, coming so close. It looks like Maru from WTRL. Oh, wow, but very quick. This is our winner right here. Look at that coming through Raze.
There, 15 watts per kilogram.
Amazing.
The timing was perfect. So perfect
amazing.
there coming from Raze. And you know, we jumped around a little bit there with the cameras. We almost missed it actually, but I want to take a look at the replay because the timing in the new drafting dynamic, the new dynamic of the packs, it did change up a little bit specifically for the sprints, and you've got to put out a lot in order to come over to the top of somebody. And also, cruising through the pack at the right times is so key. Look at that. Did you see where he came from right there? Absolutely perfect timing there from the right wheel with the right watts per kilogram. If he didn't wait for that 15 watt per kilogram moment, though, he wouldn't have gone past the avatars. If he would not have had that kick, it would have held him up, actually. Yellow Rays, though, across the line, easily takes it down.
Huge kick and dropped at a perfect time right under that bridge. At the speed, I don't know what that cadence was. Oh, you can see there, 107. Those legs were churning. That was amazing to watch that come from about 8 wheel back and a huge momentum to take the win. Very impressive race.
Absolutely amazing race there. Absolutely loving the energy here coming from APAC as well as chat. Good to see all the lots of new viewers, it looks like, out here today. Lots of chatter coming on through. Got a quick little mention if you're one of your first times jumping into the Zwift Community Live. This is where we do try to broadcast as much as we possibly can of that is going on in the community for racing, focusing on the Zwift Racing League on Tuesdays as well as the WTRL TTT on Thursdays. This Sunday, also, we do have an Alzheimer's Association charity ride that is going on. It's both in real life, outside ride, as well as a virtual event that is going to be taking place. I think we've already raised, I think it's like pushing $140,000 for the Alzheimer's Association. Absolutely awesome. Just as what's going on this week. Let's take a quick look here at what happened. Let's see if you have results actually first before we try and jump on over to them. It does look like we are good to go with the results. But before we do jump into that, I want to just speak to a little bit of a surprise tonight about the nature of this course. I think, as we said at the beginning, the top of the show, it looked really flat. We thought, oh, it's going to be sprinters, but no. The reality of the dynamics of this course and the way that the terrain itself opened things up really for a very different kind of race rather than just the pure preem sprinters delight.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of knew when I reconned it that those climbs coming to the Italian villas, when you have a steamroller, I think that was the game changer. If you didn't have that steamroller, it wouldn't have changed as much because people wouldn't have been putting in the huge efforts. They would have just had their arrows and they would have saved it for the sprint, and everyone would have come all those climbs together. People were making early attacks, and we actually saw them work, especially as we saw with Lam Kong putting in a few of those steamrollers. She was just rolling over those last two laps to take first across the line points. And people who are racing in the next couple of days, I mean, learn a lot. It's going to be hard, but you can, if you're not a sprinter, you've still got a really good shot.
Yeah, and I think the reality of that two efforts that have to be put in, followed up by a good amount of speed. Also, there's a little bit of a bump heading to that S turn on Ocean Boulevard. There is a reality that there's still some effort you can throw down to try and keep the speed rolling. And then the downhill to -1, 2% gradient, speeds just pick right on up and packs just get away. Look at that tactic, learn from it. Still got 3 different zones to happen today. We've got EMEA, we've got America's East and West, so lots of racing as well as the Premier Division, which is going to be really interesting to watch and see how that ends up playing out. We do have results coming in, though. Let's go ahead and take a look at how things ended up playing out. This is going to be the women's for APAC Division 1B. It was going to be Jahut. That was M from France. So we called her M, but it was Margot Jahut across the line at 58.18. Really walked away with it there.
Yeah, that was an amazing sprint. Both amazing sprints in the men's and the women's tonight. I think they just absolutely nailed their timing. Both hit the power-ups right under that bridge and had the momentum.
Yeah, and then it's going to be Heidi Hunt there from Asia Armstyles 1 second back, followed up by Lam Kong. We thought she was going to take it down, but it wasn't to be. The wrong power-up, and it looked like maybe too many sprint points in between, but she did represent for her team out there, the BAM HDR BAM Bays, I believe it is. Leanna Schlesinger there coming on through. Oh, it looks like I have a feeling we're going to have we do know that there's some data updates happening in the background here. We'll see if I can get a reload on this, but it is actually Marjo Jacquet, Heidi Hunt, Lam Kong, Leanna Schlesinger, and then Liz Martin, Sarah Alexander, Wilhelm de Roo, Lucy Esdale, and I'm going to see if perhaps we can get an update here while we wait on this. I know that Mazi Lovegrove as well as Amy Levine were a little ways back as we wait for the data to correct. We'll go ahead and move our way on over, though, to the C category and see how things are playing out there. It does look like it is going to be. Go ahead, Anna. It's all you.
It's Ali Gordon who led that out from Great Britain. Kat JR from Aussie coming in second. Anna Wood from the States in third. So a very well represented world map there. Carla Joy in fourth. Julie Bedgood in fifth. Actually, you've heard that name before. Another Kiwi. Jan Rogerson in sixth. Tina Hyde in seventh. Anna Meek in eighth. Louise Young in ninth. And Suzanne Lindsay in 10th.
Going to go ahead and head on over to the D category. It doesn't look like we've got anybody across the line just as of yet. You know, I have a feeling perhaps we're going to wait in on results, everybody, as we do not want to put anything out there. Quality over quantity sometimes, quality over quantity, and definitely don't want to be incorrect on the data. We are waiting for a couple of things to update here. Probably still some leftover from last week. Some of the updates that did put a little bit of a wrench in some of the things. So we'll wait on that. If you are looking for results, head on over to WTRL.racing. We are going to be live also with the EMEA as well as America's East and America's West. And Premier Division will be live over on Zwift's main page as well as Zwift Live. Anna, lots of fun commentating with you. There's a lot going on. Just question here, real. What's happening in your world? Because we've announced the Zwift Running League. We've got this duathlon. I think like there's a new person on the way. Like there's all kinds of stuff happening in your world.
There's so much going on. Yeah, so little new Russell due in September. I'm racing in the B cats now, so I've slowly gone from Prem to A to B. So we'll see how I go tomorrow. And running league. I love running. I've got a treadmill at home and keeping fit. And yeah, it's huge hats off to WTRL. I would not be staying this fit when pregnant if I didn't have all this fun racing to do and all these cool people to race with. So it's been a blast. Total blast.
100%. Yeah. Well, congratulations on that, Anna, for sure. And we're looking forward to the new little Russell on the way. We'll get him on the mic or him or her on the mic as soon as possible. But thanks everybody for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit those subs and follow buttons for all things Zwift Community Live. We'll be back for EMEA in just a few hours, and WTR That Racing for results and preems and everything. And as always, everybody, ride on.